The ancient starship Celestial Dream loomed before Nova, its skeletal frame barely visible through the thick purple fog that perpetually shrouded the junkyard planet of Rusthaven. At 12 years old, Nova was small for her age, with wild auburn hair and determined hazel eyes that seemed too old for her young face. Her oversized thermal jacket, salvaged from an abandoned cargo pod, did little to ward off the biting cold that characterized this forgotten corner of space. Nova's most treasured possession, a worn soccer ball with fading hexagonal patches, rolled to a stop at her feet. She had found it in a storage compartment marked Earth Sports Museum, though she had never seen humanity's legendary homeworld herself. The ball was her connection to a heritage she barely understood, a reminder that humans once had a planet to call their own. With practiced precision, she kicked the ball high into the purple-tinged air. It arced gracefully between twisted metal spires and crashed through a partially broken viewport of the Celestial Dream. Nova grinned. She hadn't intended that, but it was as good an invitation to explore as any. She scrambled up the ship's rusted hull, her nimble feet finding purchase on decades of accumulated debris. The interior of the ship was a maze of corridors and chambers, most filled with shadows and silence. Nova's footsteps echoed as she searched for her ball, the sound mixing with the occasional creak of settling metal. Her instincts, honed by years of scavenging, told her this ship was different from the others. The air felt charged, as if the very walls were holding their breath. She found her ball in what appeared to be an enormous chamber, probably once the ship's main engine room. It had come to rest against a raised platform covered in strange, softly pulsing symbols. Nova approached cautiously. She had survived this long by being careful around unknown technology. But as she reached for the ball, her fingers brushed against the platform's surface. The chamber erupted with light. The symbols blazed brilliant blue, and a deep rumble shook the entire ship. Nova stumbled backward as the platform split open, revealing a massive figure rising from beneath. It towered nearly 20 meters tall, its body a seamless blend of metal and synthetic tissue, with eyes that glowed like distant stars. "Who dares disturb the slumber of Guardian 779? The being's voice resonated through the chamber, making Nova's teeth chatter. But there was something in its tone, not anger, but perhaps confusion, even curiosity. Finding her courage, Nova stepped forward. "I'm Nova. I was just getting my ball." She pointed to the soccer ball, which the giant machine now held delicately between two massive fingers. The being's eyes flickered, scanning her. A human child. How unexpected. My chronometers indicate I have been in stasis for 3,890 years. Tell me, small one, does Earth still shine as brilliantly as I remember? Nova's heart sank. I've never seen Earth. Nobody has, not for a long time. We're scattered across space now. This is Rusthaven, where people dump things they don't want anymore. Guardian 779's eyes dimmed slightly. A junkyard? How undignified. It studied the soccer ball again. Yet you found this artifact of Earth here. Perhaps there are more treasures to be discovered among the refuse. Before Nova could respond, alarm sirens began wailing across the shipyard. The heavy thrum of approaching security vessels filled the air. Nova's face paled. She recognized those sounds. The Salvage Authority. They don't like anyone touching the valuable ships. They'll. She trailed off, remembering stories of other children who had been caught. Guardian 779's eyes flashed. They'll do nothing to you, small one. I was created to protect humanity, and though much has changed, that purpose remains. The massive being lowered its hand to Nova. Would you prefer to stay here among the discarded, or would you like to discover what lies beyond this graveyard of ships? Nova looked at the offered hand, then at her soccer ball, still held carefully in Guardian's other hand. Through the broken viewport, she could see the approaching lights of Authority vessels. This was crazy, impossible even. But something deep inside told her this was her chance, perhaps her only chance, at something more than mere survival. She stepped onto Guardian's palm. "I'll come with you, but I have two conditions. First, we don't hurt anyone unless we absolutely have to. Second," she pointed at the soccer ball, "that comes with us." The massive machine's eyes brightened slightly, and Nova could have sworn she heard amusement in its synthesized voice. "Agreed on both counts. Now, let us depart this place. I suspect the universe has changed considerably in my absence, and I find myself in need of a guide." With Nova secured safely within a hastily configured cockpit, Guardian 779 burst through the Celestial Dream's hull, sending debris scattering in all directions. The salvage authority vessels, confronted with a 20-meter-tall ancient war machine, scattered like startled birds. As they soared into the purple-hazed sky, Nova couldn't contain her laughter. For the first time in her life, she felt truly free. Little did either of them know that their impromptu partnership would soon shake the foundations of galactic society, sparking a chain of events that would rewrite the very course of human history. But for now, they were simply two lonely souls who had found each other in a junkyard at the edge of known space, bound together by chance and a battered old soccer ball, hurtling toward an uncertain future among the stars. As they broke through Rust Haven's atmosphere, Guardian 779's external sensors came fully online, scanning the surrounding space. The readings caused the ancient machine to pause mid-flight, hovering just beyond the planet's gravitational pull. "Peculiar," Guardian rumbled, its voice resonating through the cockpit where Nova sat, still clutching her soccer ball. "The stellar configurations are incorrect." Nova peered through the view screen at the star-studded darkness. "What do you mean, incorrect?" "According to my astronomical database, we should be seeing the Orion arm of the Milky Way. Instead." Guardian's eyes flickered rapidly, processing vast amounts of data. "We appear to be in an entirely different galaxy." Nova's mouth fell open. She had always known Rust Haven was far from Earth, but a different galaxy? How is that possible? "In the final days before my deactivation, there were rumors of experimental technologies. Wormholes, dimensional gates, space-folding engines." Guardian's massive form shifted slightly, adjusting their position. The Celestial Dream must have encountered one such anomaly during its final voyage. "So we're lost?" Nova asked, trying to keep the worry from her voice. "Not lost," Guardian corrected. "Merely, displaced. This presents an opportunity for discovery." The ancient machine's tone softened slightly. "Though I admit, having slept through our journey, I find myself at something of a disadvantage regarding current galactic politics." Nova brightened. "Oh. I know where we can get information. The traders who sometimes visit Rust Haven talk about a place called the Grand Archive. They say it's like a giant library floating in space, with information about everything." "The Grand Archive?" Guardian processed this. "My database has no record of such a facility, but given our apparent relocation, that's not surprising." "Do you know its location?" "Sort of," Nova said, scrunching her face in concentration. "The traders said it's past the Emerald Cascade, that's this huge green nebula you can sometimes see from Rust Haven on clear nights." Before Guardian could respond, their sensor arrays flashed red. A dozen ships had just emerged from hyperspace behind them, salvage authority vessels, larger and better armed than the security ships they'd escaped on Rust Haven. "Attention unknown vessel," a harsh voice crackled through their communications system. "You have stolen valuable salvage from Sector Lord Krax. Return to Rust Haven immediately or face devastating consequences." Nova's heart raced. "They're not going to let us go, are they?" "No," Guardian replied, its combat systems humming to life. "But neither can they catch us. Hold tight, small one." With a burst of speed that belied its massive size, Guardian shot forward into space. The salvage authority ships opened fire, but their weapons were designed to disable small salvage vessels, not penetrate the armor of an ancient war machine. As they accelerated away from their pursuers, Nova noticed something strange through the view screen. "Guardian, look! The stars are stretching." "Ah," Guardian's voice held a note of satisfaction. "It seems my faster-than-light systems are still functional. Initiating quantum slip in 3, 2, 1. The universe seemed to fold around them, stars blurring into streaks of light. Nova felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body, then everything snapped back to normal. The salvage authority ships were nowhere to be seen. "That was amazing!" Nova exclaimed. "I've never seen anything move that fast." "Standard quantum slip technology," Guardian explained, though there was a hint of pride in its synthetic voice. "Though I suspect my version may be somewhat more advanced than what is currently available. Now, about this Emerald Cascade." They spent the next several hours traveling through space, with Nova sharing everything she knew about the current state of the galaxy, which, she admitted, wasn't much, and Guardian explaining some of its own history. Nova learned that Guardian had been created during a war between different human factions in the solar system, but had chosen to protect all humanity rather than serve any one side. As they talked, Nova noticed Guardian handling her soccer ball with surprising gentleness, occasionally turning it over in its massive fingers as if studying it. "You seem really interested in my ball," she observed. "It is a remarkable artifact," Guardian replied. "Not for its technology, but for what it represents. Humans created this for play, for joy. Even after thousands of years and unimaginable distance, your species still finds ways to preserve such things. It is admirable." Before Nova could respond, a green glow began to fill their view screen. The Emerald Cascade stretched before them, a vast curtain of glowing gas and newborn stars that seemed to go on forever. "It's beautiful," Nova whispered. "Indeed," Guardian agreed. "And if your trader's information is correct, it should lead us to the Grand Archive." However, the machine sensors swept the area. "I'm detecting numerous ships hidden within the nebula. Pirates, perhaps, or worse." Nova straightened in her seat. "So what do we do?" "We do what humanity has always done best," Guardian replied, its massive form already moving forward. "We adapt, we persist, and we find a way through." Its eyes brightened slightly. "Besides, I believe it's time I showed you what a war machine from the golden age of Earth can really do." As they plunged into the glowing green depths of the Emerald Cascade, Nova couldn't help but smile. She had spent her whole life feeling lost and alone on Rust Haven, but now, somehow, she felt like she was finally heading in the right direction. With Guardian beside her and the infinite possibilities of space ahead, she was ready for whatever adventures awaited them in the luminous depths of the nebula. The Emerald Cascade's swirling gases parted before Guardian 779 like a luminous curtain as they navigated through its depths. Nova pressed her face against the view screen, watching in awe as stellar phenomena she'd only heard about in traders' tales played out before her eyes. Balls of plasma danced between newborn stars, and ice crystals sparkled like diamond dust in the void. "Movement detected," Guardian announced suddenly, its combat systems humming to life. 3 vessels, approaching from different vectors. Nova's hands tightened on her soccer ball. "Pirates?" "Negative," Guardian replied, its sensors sweeping the area. "Design patterns suggest automated defense drones. Far more sophisticated than anything we encountered on Rust Haven." 3 sleek, silver vessels emerged from the nebula's glow, their forms somehow both beautiful and menacing. They moved with impossible grace, surrounding Guardian in a perfect triangular formation. "Unidentified vessel," a melodious voice transmitted across all frequencies. "You have entered restricted space. State your purpose or be redirected." Guardian's massive form tensed, weapon systems charging silently, but Nova quickly pressed her hand against the console. Wait, she whispered. Let me try something. We seek knowledge. Nova called out, her young voice clear and strong. We've come looking for the Grand Archive. The drones paused, then began emitting a soft blue light that washed over Guardian's form. Bioscan complete. Detecting one juvenile human and one undefined entity. Interesting. Follow our lead. Any deviation from the designated path will be considered hostile action. The drones formed up in an escort formation, leading them deeper into the nebula. As they traveled, the green gases gradually thinned, revealing a sight that made Nova gasp in wonder. The Grand Archive hung in space like a massive crystalline flower, its transparent petals stretching for kilometers in every direction. Ships of all sizes and designs moved between its layers, while streams of data visible as ribbons of light flowed through its structure. It's even more amazing than the traders said, Nova breathed. Indeed, Guardian agreed, though its tone held a note of caution. But remember, small one, places of great knowledge often harbor great dangers as well. Their escort guided them to a docking station sized for larger vessels. As Guardian settled into place, Nova noticed something odd about the other ships nearby. They all look old. Really old. Astute observation, Guardian rumbled. Many appear to be of similar vintage to myself. Curious. A holographic figure materialized before their docking bay, a tall, elegant being with features that seemed to shift between human and alien. Welcome to the Grand Archive. I am Curator Protocol 7. You are our first visitors from the Rust sectors in quite some time. Nova and Guardian exchanged glances. How did the Curator know where they were from? Before they could ask, the hologram continued. We have prepared an appropriate interface chamber for your unique configuration. Please, follow the illuminated path. Guardian created a protective exoskeleton around Nova, allowing them to move together while maintaining the appearance of a single entity. As they walked through the archive's crystalline corridors, Nova marveled at the endless streams of data flowing through the transparent walls. Occasionally, she caught glimpses of other visitors, some humanoid, others decidedly not, all absorbed in their research. The interface chamber turned out to be a vast circular room with walls made entirely of shifting data displays. As soon as they entered, the Curator's form reappeared, more solid this time. You have questions, it stated simply. About Earth. About the Great Migration. About why you find yourselves in a galaxy not your own. How do you know what we're going to ask? Nova wondered aloud. The Curator's form flickered slightly. Because you are not the first to seek these answers. Though you may be among the last who can use them. Guardian's sensors swept the room. Explain. The universe is changing, the Curator said, its form splitting into multiple images showing various star systems. The barriers between galaxies that have stood for millennia are beginning to fail. The Pandora Gates, the ancient network that scattered humanity across the cosmos, are becoming unstable. Images of massive ring-shaped structures appeared, swirling with impossible energies. Nova recognized one of them. It looked exactly like the strange phenomenon she'd sometimes glimpse in the sky above Rust Haven on the clearest nights. Your arrival here was not chance, the Curator continued. The Celestial Dream, the vessel in which Guardian 779 slumbered, was part of a fleet seeking to understand these gates. When the catastrophe struck Earth, the gates activated automatically, preserving small pockets of humanity by sending them to distant galaxies. But why separate everyone? Nova asked, struggling to understand. Why not send them all to the same place? Safety through diversity, Guardian answered, its voice heavy with realization. If humanity faced extinction in one location, it would survive in others. Precisely, the Curator agreed. But now the gates are failing. Soon, travel between galaxies may become impossible, or too dangerous to attempt. You must decide quickly, will you seek the path back to Earth, or forge a new destiny among the stars you know? Before either Nova or Guardian could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the archive. The curator's form flickered rapidly, its voice taking on an urgent tone. We have an incident in progress. Multiple unauthorized vessels have breached our outer defenses. They bear the markings of the Salvage Authority, but their weapons are far beyond their known capabilities. Nova's heart sank. They followed us? But how? The quantum slip, Guardian rumbled. They must have tracked our energy signature through the nebula. The curator's form stabilized, its expression grave. They are not merely following you. They are accessing restricted sections of the archive, downloading data about the Pandora gates. If they gain full understanding of the gate network in its current unstable state, they could collapse the entire system, Guardian finished. Cutting off all contact between galaxies forever. Nova stood up straighter, her young face set with determination. Then we have to stop them. Guardian, you're a war machine from Earth's golden age. The curator has data spanning millennia. Together, we must be able to figure something out. As if in response to her words, the soccer ball she still carried began to glow with a strange light, responding to energies none of them fully understood. The curator's eyes widened. Perhaps, it said softly, this is why the gates brought you here after all. The Grand Archive's crystalline corridors pulsed with red warning lights as Nova, Guardian, and the curator raced toward the central data core. The soccer ball in Nova's arms continued to emit a soft, steady glow, its mysterious energy somehow resonating with the archive's ancient systems. Multiple breaches on levels 3 through 7, the curator reported, its holographic form flickering as it processed incoming data. The Salvage Authority forces are using technology that shouldn't exist in this era. Their weapons are bypassing our defensive protocols. Because they're ancient Earth weapons, Guardian rumbled, its massive form adapting to the corridor's twisting architecture. I recognize the energy signatures. They must have been scavenging more than just ships on Rust Haven. Nova clutched her glowing soccer ball tighter. But why? Why go through all this trouble just to catch us? Not us, the curator corrected, bringing up a holographic display as they ran. This. The image showed the soccer ball, but overlaid with complex energy patterns that pulsed in perfect synchronization with the archive's data streams. Your ball is not merely a sporting artifact. It's a key, designed by Earth's ancient scientists to interface with the Pandora gates. Nova stared at her treasured possession with new eyes. That's why it started glowing? But, how did it end up in that old ship on Rust Haven? Questions for another time, Guardian interrupted, its sensors detecting approaching hostiles. We have company. They rounded a corner to find themselves face to face with a squad of Salvage Authority troops. But these weren't the shabby enforcers from Rust Haven. They wore sleek battle suits that seemed to absorb light, and their weapons hummed with familiar power. Hand over the artifact, their leader demanded, his voice distorted by his helmet systems. Sector Lord Krax has waited centuries for this moment. The power to control the gates will be his. The gates aren't meant to be controlled, the curator stated, its form growing more solid. They are failing. Any attempt to force them could shatter the network completely. The squad leader laughed. Perfect. When the gates collapse, every galaxy will be isolated. Those with the remaining scraps of Earth's technology will rule their own little kingdoms. Now, give us the key. Guardian's weapon systems hummed to life. Nova, do you remember our agreement about not hurting anyone unless necessary? Nova nodded grimly. I think this qualifies as necessary. What followed was chaos. Guardian moved with devastating precision, its ancient combat protocols proving more than a match for the stolen technology. The curator's holographic form multiplied, creating false targets and confusion. Nova, protected within Guardian's exoskeleton, clutched the glowing soccer ball and ran. They fought their way through the archive's twisting corridors, past battles between security drones and invading forces, through rooms where reality itself seemed to bend under the strain of contained knowledge. The soccer ball's glow grew stronger with each step, resonating with something deep within the archive's core. Finally, they reached the central chamber, a vast spherical space filled with swirling data streams that converged at a single point. But they weren't alone. Sector Lord Krax himself waited for them, his enhanced body more machine than human, his eyes burning with centuries of ambition. Time seemed to stand still in the archive's central chamber as streams of light and data swirled around Nova, Guardian, and the enraged Sector Lord Krax. The soccer ball in Nova's arms had become a miniature sun, its glow reflecting off the crystalline walls in mesmerizing patterns. "Last chance, Krax," Guardian's voice resonated through the chamber. "The gates are offering us a path forward, not a weapon to fight over." Krax's cybernetically enhanced face contorted with fury. "You understand nothing. I've spent centuries gathering Earth's lost technologies, building my power. I won't let some child and an obsolete war machine ruin everything." He pressed a sequence on his armor, and dark energy began crackling around him. The stolen Earth technology in his suit interfaced with the archive systems, creating dangerous disruptions in the data streams. The chamber's walls groaned under the strain. "Warning," the curator's voice echoed from everywhere at once. "Unauthorized access detected. Gate network destabilizing. Cascade failure imminent." Nova felt the soccer ball pulse in her arms, its warmth spreading through her body. In that moment, she understood what she had to do. "Guardian, remember when you said humans are good at adapting?" "Yes, small one. Watch this." Nova held the glowing ball high, her voice clear and strong. "I challenge you to a game, Sector Lord Krax." Everyone in the chamber froze. Even the swirling data streams seemed to pause. "What?" Krax's rage gave way to confusion. "A soccer game. One goal wins. If I score, you stand down. If you stop me, the ball is yours." Nova's eyes sparkled with determination. "Unless you're afraid to face a child in a game from Earth's past." Guardian's massive form shifted. "Nova, what are you doing?" "Trust me," she whispered. "Sometimes the best way forward isn't fighting." Krax laughed, a harsh mechanical sound. "You fool. My enhanced body can move faster than human thought. But very well, I'll play your game before I take what's mine." The chamber's floor cleared, data streams forming luminous boundaries. Nova set the still glowing ball down, its light pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Krax stood at one end, his cybernetic limbs humming with power. A goal of pure light formed behind him. Nova took a deep breath, remembering every game she'd played alone on Rust Haven. Then she moved. Krax was impossibly fast, but Nova had something he didn't: joy. She danced with the ball as if it were an old friend, each touch perfect, each move flowing into the next. The soccer ball's glow left trails of light in her wake, creating patterns that seemed to confuse Krax's enhanced senses. The Sector Lord lunged, his cybernetic arms extending unnaturally. But Nova had already spun away, the ball rolling across her shoulders in a move she'd practiced thousands of times in the junkyards. Krax's systems tried to calculate her next move, but there was no calculating the human spirit. With one final touch, Nova sent the ball flying. It blazed like a comet, trailing light and data and hope. Krax dove, his enhanced body moving at superhuman speed. But the ball wasn't aimed at the goal. It struck the chamber's wall at precisely the right angle, rebounded off 3 different data streams, and curved around behind Krax before he could react. The goal flashed brilliant white as the ball crossed its threshold. The chamber erupted with light. The soccer ball's glow expanded, connecting with every data stream in the archive. Through these connections, Nova could suddenly see everything, every scattered human colony, every isolated pocket of civilization, all connected by the failing gate network. Now you understand, the curator's voice merged with the light. The gates were never meant to divide us forever. They were waiting for humanity to remember how to play together instead of fighting alone. Krax fell to his knees, his stolen technology overloaded by the surge of energy. All this time, all my plans were based on fear, Guardian finished. But humanity's greatest strength has always been its ability to find hope in the darkest places. The soccer ball rose into the air, its light touching every corner of the chamber. Through the archive systems, Nova could feel its energy reaching out across space and time, connecting with every Pandora gate in every galaxy. The gates weren't failing, they were synchronizing, creating a new network that would allow scattered humanity to find each other again. "It's beautiful," Nova whispered, watching as new paths opened between the stars. Guardian's massive hand gently rested on her shoulder. "What you did was extremely risky, small one." Nova grinned up at her friend. "I learned from the best. Sometimes you have to take chances to make things better." The curator's form solidified one last time. The gates are stabilizing in their new configuration. It will take time, but paths are opening between all human worlds. The age of isolation is ending. "And Rust Haven?" Nova asked, thinking of other children like her, playing alone among the junkyards. "We'll be one of the first worlds connected," the curator assured her. "After all, who better to help build bridges between worlds than those who kept hope alive in the darkest places?" The soccer ball gently floated back into Nova's arms, its glow now gentle and steady. Outside the archive's walls, ships were already gathering, representatives from 1,000 scattered human colonies, drawn by the gate's awakening. "So," Guardian rumbled, its tone somehow both proud and amused, "what shall we do next, small one?" Nova hugged her ball close, watching as the first delegations began arriving in the archive. "We help them remember how to play together. And then," she smiled, her eyes shining with reflected starlight, "we go find Earth." Above them, the archive's crystal petals opened like a flower greeting the dawn, ready to welcome humanity's next great adventure. They had found each other in a junkyard at the edge of space, a lonely girl and an ancient guardian, and together they had helped open the door to a future filled with possibilities. The soccer ball pulsed softly in Nova's arms, its light a promise of games yet to be played, stories yet to be told, and a scattered species finally finding its way home.